Welcome to Hollywood Bulletin, where we reveal the stories behind the stars. Vince Gill had it all: 21 #1 hits, 22 Grammys, and one of the most beloved voices in country music. But in the year 2000, he made a decision that split his fan base right down the middle. He married Amy Grant. Both had recently divorced, and while tabloids buzzed, the Christian community saw it differently. They labeled it adultery. Radio stations pulled their songs. Protesters stood outside his concerts holding signs of hate. And now, 25 years later, health issues keep piling up. At 67, the man who once had everything is watching it slip through his fingers. Born on April 12, 1957, in Norman, Oklahoma, Vince grew up in a house where law and music intertwined in the most unusual way. His dad was a federal judge, but he could also pick a banjo, strum a guitar, and play the harmonica like a bluegrass pro. After a long day in court, Judge Gill would come home and jump into jam sessions with his wife, Jiren, who also played harmonica. Vince would lie in bed, listening to the music echo down the halls. Neighbors still talk about those summer nights when music spilled from their porch into the streets. That strange mix of courtroom discipline and musical freedom left a deep impression on Vince. But childhood wasn't all melody. Vince was born with crossed eyes. It wasn't a small thing. It took 2 painful surgeries to correct, and even then, his left eye would drift when he was tired or stressed. He eventually wore glasses, not just to help his vision, but to hide the part of himself that felt broken. Kids teased him so much, he started avoiding people altogether. Instead, he stayed home, locked in with his guitar, not hiding, but creating a new world. When Vince was 10, tragedy hit hard. His half-brother Bob was in a horrific car crash outside Oklahoma City. Once a bright student and athlete, Bob suffered brain damage so severe he couldn't even remember names. For over 25 years, he needed full-time care. Vince watched as his father took on extra legal work to cover the bills, and the stress slowly tore his parents' marriage apart. Bob died in 1993 from a heart attack linked to his injuries. That grief stayed with Vince. Years later, he said, those early losses taught him the true weight of pain that poured into his songs, the kind that quietly wrecked people in their cars. A T5, during a visit to his grandmother's, Vince picked up her old acoustic guitar and tried to play Old Shep. In just 30 minutes with no lessons, he figured out the chords and began to sing. His grandmother was floored. She called his parents and told them she'd just witnessed something rare. By age 10, they scraped together enough money to buy him a Gibson ES-335 electric guitar worth nearly $800 in 1967, which would be around $6,500 today. That wasn't just a present, it was a promise. Vince wasn't some kid with a hobby. He was already a musician. When things got hard at home, Vince didn't act out. He disappeared into his guitar. He played for 6 to 8 hours a day, alone, in the basement, where sad melodies drifted through the walls. His music teacher said Vince had a soul in his sound that didn't match his age. He didn't talk about pain, he turned it into music. By high school, he formed a bluegrass band called Mountain Smoke. On March 4, 1976, something bizarre happened. They opened for Kiss. Yes, the face-painted rock gods. The show was in Oklahoma City, and the crowd expected fire and noise. Instead, they got fiddles and banjos. People booed, threw cups, even tossed shoes. Vince lost it. He flipped off the crowd, mooned them, and stormed off stage. It was humiliating but unforgettable. That band broke up, but Vince didn't quit. He moved to Kentucky, joined Bluegrass Alliance, then Boone Creek alongside Ricky Skaggs. Together, they lit up the bluegrass scene, blending old traditions with fresh energy. Their only album became a cult classic. Later that year, Vince headed west to join Sundance, led by fiddle legend Byron Berlin. He quickly adapted, playing iconic clubs and rubbing shoulders with legends like Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt. In 1978, Pure Prairie League was falling apart. They remembered Vince from a 1976 opener and called him again. This time, he said yes. At just 21, Vince became their frontman, singing, writing, and playing every stringed instrument they handed him. He helped record Can't Hold Back and brought a smooth, emotional tone that revived the band. Then came Firin' Up in 1980, featuring Let Me Love You Tonight, their biggest hit ever. It climbed to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, and Vince's voice carried the track. He also wrote 5 more songs on the album, showcasing his signature country pop blend, but success is fickle. Their 1981 album flopped, and when their label collapsed, the band was dropped. Vince left in 1982 and signed with RCA as a solo act. That same year, he married Janice Oliver and welcomed a daughter. He believed stardom was next, but it didn't come easy. By 1983, gigs had dried up and confidence was fading. He joined Rodney Crowell's Cherry Bombs, touring relentlessly, learning how to survive the grind. In 1984, thanks to his old bandmate Tony Brown, Vince landed a solo deal with RCA. His 1984 EP Turn Me Loose broke into the top 40. It wasn't huge, but it was enough. That same year, he won Top New Male Vocalist at the ACMs. He kept pushing, though no singles cracked the top 10 until 1989, when Tony Brown, now at MCA, gave him a second shot. Vince released When I Call Your Name, and everything changed. His sound was fresh country mixed with pop, bluegrass, and soul. The album went platinum. The title track hit number 2 and won him his first Grammy. From 1992 to 1994, Vince released 4 consecutive number 1 hits. I Still Believe in You spent 20 weeks in the top 10. He became a session player for country and rock royalty, working with Reba, Emmylou Harris, Roseanne Cash, Bonnie Raitt, and more. Then came The Key in 1998, his most personal album, inspired by his divorce. Critics called it his boldest work. In 2000, he married Amy Grant, the queen of Christian pop, but their union stirred backlash. Both had recently divorced. Religious fans called it sinful. Protests followed them. In 2013, Westboro Baptist Church protested his concert. Vince walked out and calmly confronted them. One shouted, "What are you doing with another man's wife?" Vince replied, "You guys don't have any grace." In 2020, a heart checkup revealed that both he and Amy needed open heart surgery at the same time. They went through it separately due to COVID restrictions. Then in 2022, Amy had a horrific bike crash and brain injury. Vince stepped away from concerts to care for her. Through it all, he stayed, even when his own vocal cords developed polyps. Even when arthritis and chronic back pain forced him to slow down. In 2022, scammers used his name to con a fan named Joyce out of $450,000. Vince's team warned fans he would never message anyone privately. And in 2025, he was hospitalized with kidney stones, forcing him to cancel shows. But just weeks later, Vince launched his biggest tour in years, celebrating 50 years since he left Oklahoma to chase his dream. The tour ends with 4 emotional nights at Nashville's Ryman Auditorium, a place Vince has performed over 100 times. Now, he returns with a hand-picked band of Nashville's best, lifting each other on stage like Vince has lifted everyone around him. Thanks for watching Hollywood Bulletin. If Vince Gill's journey moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin, and click the bell icon so you never miss another powerful true story.